Welcome to my channel. I'm Cheryl Janeen. So what I'm hearing is that social media is slowly moving down the ladder. I don't know how true that is, right? There's a lot of people on social media and will continue to be on social media just because they know they need to be there just to be visible and to show their face and put their videos and content there and things like that to build their brand's presence. But as we move into more seasons of building and creating content, we're going to be using other platforms. And I gather that's going to be coming next year and in the years to come. People are doing more TV shows or podcasts, and they're using more different things to actually get their content out there. And I can understand that because even I found, like, on social media, certain platforms, like your voice is censored a lot and you can't always say what you really want to say, which is a barrier for a lot of us, especially people like me who want to disrupt. We want to say things that are disruptive, but you have to be careful because of how these platforms are designed and operated, right? So that's a thing. But what I want to say about social media, and a lot of us tend to have challenges with social media. I know I have always had challenges with social media, and I'm not saying that because, back in the day it was hard to get started and it was like you're building and creating. Even now, so the challenges are still there. They're still there because when you think about it, you have this algorithm, and once you think you have the algorithm down, it changes again. Every other day it's changing. And that's a problem for a lot of people, especially when only 1% of your audience is really seeing your stuff. That's a real problem and a real challenge for us as entrepreneurs and business owners. It's important to know a couple of things, though. First of all, vanity metrics don't matter. Now, when I talk about vanity metrics, I mean that follower count that everybody wants. We always want to know, how can we get more followers? Instagram, that's one of those places where it's kind of selfish because you can follow somebody, but they don't have to follow you back, right? So it's kind of like a selfish platform in that sense. But I know people with 300 followers, 600 followers who are making multiple six figures and millions of dollars, even with a small following. And I'm going to tell you how in a minute, but that's really not the most important thing that we need to focus on when it comes to social media. And I've said this before and I'll say it a million times. It's all about being intentional and strategic in how you are positioning your content. That's the most important thing, is not worrying about the numbers, but just focusing on your quality of content and how relevant that is, because your people are going to find you either way, no matter how you put it, no matter what hashtags you use or don't use, and whatever else they're talking about. Do this, don't do that. It's hard because it's like you're listening to different people, and it's like you don't know what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing at this point, because things are constantly changing. Every platform is different, and that's one of the things you have to understand too, is how to operate on every platform, because they're not all created equal. They're just not. Yes, you can put the same content everywhere, but what good is that going to really do you if it's not going to perform the same? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about how to create content for each platform so that when people follow you, they are actually on a journey with you, and it's going to make sense for you to show up on social media in this way because it's going to benefit you in the best ways possible. Okay, so if you're just starting to really get your feet wet using social media, pick a couple platforms. You don't have to be everywhere. Don't do that to yourself. You will get overwhelmed. You will burn out quickly. Okay? Just pick one or two that you like and start to build there. Then eventually, once you start to grow to a certain extent, then you can just go ahead and be multiple places if you choose to do that. All right? But I prefer to just do a couple and that's it. I don't want to do everything. So, like, this is your terms. You're in charge, and you can do things on your terms, and you can be where you want to be. That's just it. But understand, where you need to be, you gotta show up consistently. All right, you have to understand also that engagement doesn't always translate into sales. All right. I want to just put this in here really quickly because people have that misconception. When you engage, yes, it helps your content be seen more because that's how you get rewarded. When you stay on a platform for a certain amount of time and you engage with other people, the platform rewards you in that way. Okay? But this doesn't necessarily translate into sales. All right? It can build relationships, which is good. You need to connect. Relationships do translate into sales. So just make sure you understand that piece of it, that it's slow growth, okay? But it does work over time. Now, when you're doing different platforms, if you do choose to show up everywhere, you say, listen, I want to go for it. I just want to be everywhere I can be so I can be visible all the time and things like that. Make sure people are actually having a journey with you. So if you post a certain video on TikTok, you might want to post something different on Instagram, different on Facebook, different on LinkedIn, different types of content in different places. You might want to do a carousel post on Instagram. You might want to do a reel for Facebook or something like that. On LinkedIn, you might want to do, there's a number of things you could do on LinkedIn. You can do events on LinkedIn. You can do events on Facebook, of course, too, live streams. I mean, when I say events, you can do something, but do something different everywhere as much as you can. You know, even if you're repurposing something, that's amazing because that's going to actually get people to follow you and want to see more about what you're doing. They get more pieces of you, like they get different parts of you in that way. They're not seeing the same content because usually when people follow you on one platform, they follow you on other platforms as well. So this way they get something different each time. And it's kind of nice. It's a nice little journey that they take with you. Okay, so now Instagram, it took me years to convert a client from Instagram. And this is why I say you have to understand the platforms and how they work. Once hashtags started getting too saturated and stopped working, then you had to create new hashtags and things like that. It's just a matter of how can you get your content seen more on these platforms. And there's several ways to do that. They have a thing called influencer marketing where you would probably pay somebody a fee to actually post on their accounts, right? And that would send you traffic. It's like a game of traffic. That's exactly what it is. It's just a game of traffic and how you're going to get more of it so that you can actually make your sales. All right. So that you actually see results from all of your efforts, a return on your investment of effort. That's one of the things. Now, Instagram is not one of those places that give you credibility or it doesn't help you stand out. Instagram is very, very saturated. So make a choice on, and I say that because I want you to make your choices on where you want to be and where it's going to be most beneficial to you. Okay, because you don't want to waste your efforts building on platforms that are not going to help you in any kind of way when it comes to making your sales. All right, so you have to understand this about social media. Like, if we don't understand about social media, we're just going to be posting, and we're not going to get any results that we want. And we got to understand how to do that. Okay, so that's just one platform that I wanted to touch on. I'm not going to go through every single platform, but I want you to understand that when you get likes and you get comments, it's okay, it's cool, it's great that people noticed you, but it doesn't always translate into sales. You're inspiring people, but they're not actually buying. So that's where the barrier comes in. Okay, that's where you need to understand how you can make your content convert and work for you in a way that makes sense for you to even put it out there. How can you differentiate yourself in the marketplace? People always want to know, how do I stand out? How do I make my brand seem different from the next person that's doing the same thing as me? Well, it's all about your perspective and your insight. Okay, understanding that we have our content, but we also have our personality. We have the way we look, our style. We have how and how we sound. We have all these different things about us that are different from the next person. Okay, so your perspective and your insight on a certain thing in your industry, whatever it is that you talk about, whatever your niche is, that is how you're going to stand out. And how you elevate that is going to either make or break your results in your business. Okay, so you have to pay attention to that. And I hope that's what you're doing, because with social media, like I said, it's a game of numbers. And it's a game of who's liking what, who's commenting where, and who's noticing you, who's actually being seen for what they are talking about and what they are known for. Who's that go-to expert? Who's that person that's actually shining, right? Everybody seems to want to shine. And so a lot of people aren't doing as well as you think because they just want to shine. But on the back end, and I've spoken to a lot of women, they're not doing that well. Okay, so getting results, that's the most important thing. So just to backtrack a little, when I say make or break, your voice is what matters. That's what's going to make everything happen for you. Don't dim your light. Don't water it down. Whatever you have to say it. Just say it. Stand up and say it, because that's the disruptive pattern. That's the breakthrough. That's the breakthrough content that is needed right now in the marketplace. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, there's a way to get people to not just like your content, but actually take the next step with you. Don't worry about people liking or not liking your beautiful Canva graphic. That's not what this is about. Okay, it's not about the likes. It's not about any of that stuff. And that's what I really want you to understand. It's not about any of that. Okay, because people will like all day long. I've gotten 200, 500 likes on a post before, but it didn't do anything. You have to understand how to collaborate with other people. That can elevate your brand and take it to the next level. Because you can do this alone, but if you do it with other people, it will take you further a lot faster. Okay, I cannot stress this enough. Okay, I built my entire business from the time I started up until now by doing virtual events over and over and over again, having over 40 experts speaking at my events, building those relationships, nurturing those relationships, and just understanding the whole concept of this is what really matters. The whole concept of this is what really matters. Not just people liking my stuff, not just me putting out a video here and there and posting this and posting that. Yes, I've said all the things. Yes, I've shown up on video and I've showed up on live streams and I've done all the things. But when I collaborated, it took everything to another level. The best way for you to do this, and you can use social media to absolutely get this done, collaborate with other people. Okay? Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a summit, some kind of event to help elevate your voice and get you in front of more people. So what I teach is virtual events, and I teach mainly summits and masterclasses. Okay, how to do a summit, masterclass, or webinar, whatever the case is, but I teach you how to do the entire launch. And I focus on 3 phases: boosting your traffic, growing your list, and getting you booked out with the waitlist. That is my focus for all my clients. All right, because that's what matters to me the most. How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this possible? And how are we going to plan this out and execute that plan so that it makes a lot of sense and you double, triple, quadruple your sales at the end of the day. We don't have time to waste. I don't have time to be fooling around with social media. We only use social media for part of this. For part of it. That's it. Okay? Social media is like a slow process of growing if you're not paying for ads and things like that. But if you're doing it organically, it can just be, it can be a slow thing. And I'm not saying don't post there. Yes, you absolutely want to stay visible on social media, but don't be fully reliant on it. Always have other ways of boosting your traffic, bringing in leads, generating more business for yourself. in other ways, in other avenues. Okay, because there's a multiple things that you can do to actually get the people to you. Okay, get new people to market to, and also retain the people that you already have. Okay, that's why when I talked about that journey, yeah, those people really, they're interested in you. They're interested in your brand. They're following you for a reason. If they're following you on every platform, they're following you for a reason. Okay, you have to know how to get them from where they're following you into your funnel so that they can stay with you in that customer journey. You continue, and retain those people that are already there. They're already hot leads. They're already wanting to buy something from you. They're ready. Those are the people that are ready. All right. So that's the main focus. All right. Not being solely relying on social media, but actually doing the things that will get you the results. So in a future video, we are going to talk more about launching. We're going to talk about how to bring this all together so that what you're doing is bringing the best return on your investment. Because we can get money back. We can spend money, we can get money back. We can't get back our time. We can't. And it just makes more sense when we're taking action and doing the things that we need to do, or the things that we think we should be doing, that we're actually doing it to the best of our benefit, and we're doing it effectively so that it makes sense. It makes us money. Okay. So make sure that you subscribe and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I do more videos. I'll talk to you soon.